Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another installment of our tips and tricks series for Dead by Daylight. Today I will be talking about how to evade the killer and buy as much time as possible for you and your teammates, and how you can do this and also get away with it. But without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first things first, I just want to say that this video is not going to be about the certain techniques and methods to use to juke a killer, but how to be productive when juking the killer, or when to stop, when to buy time for your teammates, etc., etc. If you are looking for different methods on how to juke a killer, there's definitely plenty of options already out there on YouTube. Just look up Juking Dead by Daylight, something along those lines, and I'm certain you'll find something on the different techniques of juking a killer, like the 360 jukes, window jukes, flashlight jukes, locker jukes, anything like that. You can already find that on YouTube, so I'm not going to cover that since plenty of people have already done that. Especially since most of those jukes are very situational, I definitely will leave it up to you guys to kind of go out and search on your own for different types of jukes and when to use them. But jumping right on into my first tip, do not waste pallets. They are your best and sometimes only friend in this game that's keeping you from getting hooked. I know sometimes, especially for newer players, all you want to do is slam that pallet down as fast as you possibly can because you know you'll be safe once you throw it down. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it's better to just wait because a killer will stand back, assuming you're going to throw it down so they don't get stunned. So if you can afford a few seconds to wait and then keep running or looping around a pallet circle wherever you're at, sometimes it's better than just throwing it down right away. Now, sometimes killers will always be very risky with their swings and always lunge when they think you're going to throw a pallet down, because sometimes they get that hit in just before you throw it down. So make sure you get a good feel for the killer you're playing against. Some are very risky and some play very safe as to not get stunned. Moving on to tip number 2, always keep your camera pointed at where the killer is coming from. I always see a lot of new players and even some more experienced players that only play looking forward, and with that you don't get any information on where the killer is, if he's swinging at you, if he's trying to cut you off, or anything like that. If you're newer to keeping your camera faced behind you looking at the killer, then it's definitely going to take some getting used to. It's not the easiest thing to do in this game. I know at first when I started, when I was always looking at the killer, I tended to run into walls or objects or run in a corner in the completely opposite direction that I was trying to go because I was so focused on what the killer was doing. But just keep practicing. Try your hardest to look behind you so you can know the killer's intention, and I promise you your jukes will get a lot better. And now moving along to tip number 3, peel for your teammates. I know it sounds crazy, but just like any MMORPG or MOBA style game, you want to peel for your teammates. If they're injured and just got off the hook and you have full health and you're in the area to peel that killer's attention off of your teammate and onto you, you definitely want to do so. Whether you started this match as a healer or someone who was strictly going to work on gens, or maybe you came in specifically knowing that all you were going to do was distract the killer, you always want to peel for your teammates. Buying time is the name of the game when it comes to Dead by Daylight. So anytime you can peel for a teammate, you not only save their life and allow them to go heal up, you buy more time for your teammates in fixing gens or healing that person up or cleansing a totem, whatever it may be. Anytime you can peel for your teammates, you always want to, especially if you're outfitted to run from the killer. Now, with talking about buying time, this kind of segues us into tip number 4, which is plan your escape routes. Nothing will get you hooked faster than running off into the distance with no plan of escape, with no pallets, no windows, or any type of escape options. Now, I'm not saying you need to know the map inside and out completely, especially with them releasing new maps all the time and everything like that. All I'm trying to say is when you get into a match, whenever you're working on a gen or running from a killer or doing anything, you just want to see what's around, what pallets are available, especially with the maps being RNG'd. You never know which path is going to be the best way to take, so just keep your eyes open, look around, see which paths are going to buy you the most amount of time when running from the killer. Another benefit of the evader playstyle is also that you're the only one using the pallets basically. As long as you're peeling for your teammates and keeping the killer's attention for as long as possible, you can keep track of what pallets you've used, where the windows are, and everything like that. So make sure you keep the killer on you at all times if you choose to take the playstyle of evading the killer. But now on to tip number 5, try switching up your techniques. The longer you're chased by a killer, the easier it is for him to read your patterns and tell what your intentions are before you even do them. Good killers can read patterns and use that against you if you're too consistent. So make sure you change it up so you're not too predictable to the killer. And the last tip is just make sure you take a breather every now and again from being chased by the killer, because you do need to get points in other areas like saving teammates or fixing a generator. So make sure you're not always just strictly running from the killer if you do select this type of playstyle, and that should help you pip up more often than usual. And of course, the last and most important tip, you will be tunneled until you die. But in all seriousness, if you want to make sure your build is good enough for just evading the killer, you're definitely going to want to take self-care, because that's a staple for pretty much any build in this game except for a build running around no mither. You're also going to want an exhaustion perk. I personally like Dead Hard. You may like to run other perks like Lithe or Sprint Burst. Balanced landing is also a pretty good choice on certain maps. There are some maps that are very limited in the spots where you could drop in order to trigger balanced landing. So that's why I personally like Dead Hard and Sprint Burst, because they're good everywhere, but it's really up to you on this one. And of course, Decisive Strike is a very good tool in order to buy more time, especially when you run out of pallets in maps with very limited or few pallets. So that's a good option. I know a lot of people hate that one, but I also use Boil Over because that also helps me break out in certain situations just before they can make it to a hook. So that could save me sometimes, and also if I have teammates working with me to help body block hooks, that helps a lot. And then of course, if you want to bring items, that's always good, but if you do or don't want to waste item, that's totally up to you. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. I hope these tips help you out, help you keep the killer busy for longer, pip up more often, and just have a much better time in general in Dead by Daylight. Stick around to the end for a special message, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, just so you know, YouTube has a new program called Memberships. It's just like Twitch's subscriber program, and you get emojis and you get a little icon that says you're subscribed depending on how many months you're subscribed. So make sure you check that out the next time we live stream. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.